What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone is having a fantastic night so far. When we talk recruiting, we want to bring the best of the best on the show that cover recruiting 24/7. We got the Crib, South Florida, joining us on tonight's show. The Crib, what's going on, man? Thank you again for your time.
Oh, thanks for having me on. I know we had a lot of fun last time. So I'm looking forward to it once again.
Absolutely, man. And you were at Paradise Camp. I was there as well, man. Why don't we kick it off with Paradise Camp? Kind of what were your thoughts? Because you interact heavily with a lot of recruits. I mean, I saw you with the American Heritage kids. It seems like you developed a great relationship with Brandon Innes as well. So, I mean, kind of what were your thoughts about the event overall for the University of Miami to showcase itself?
Listen, I think they've done an excellent job of building relationships with those 2023 prospects like Brandon Innes, Santana Fleming, the Mark Fletchers of the world, and the Mon Fagans of that heritage group. But you saw a lot of kids out there that were big recruits, kind of like Andy Jean from Miami Northwestern and Nathaniel Joseph, as well as getting some 2022 kids out there that were high class kids. Earl Little is one of the top recruits in the country, an Alabama lock from what everybody says, and he's out there working out for the Hurricanes. So I thought it was a great event for the Hurricanes in regards to the kids that showed up. Maybe it didn't work out, but showed up for the event and showed face. But they did have some stars out there working out, especially in the 2024 class. On the defensive line, you had the Columbus duo of Dylan Russell and TJ Cappers, which are going to be Power 5 kids. They had British Mitchell, who's kind of one of those faces down here that everybody knows because of his dad's rap ability, but he's also an excellent receiver who's going to be part of a dynamic duo at Edison, probably put up some big numbers this year. There was just a lot of great players out there. I mean, the Colin Hurley kid picked up an offer, 2025 quarterback. You saw Javin Simpkins, who's a Georgia Tech commit, Under Armour All-American commit as well, going out there working out, running routes, doing individual as well as one-on-ones. So it's nice to get kids like that out there working out and kind of building that camaraderie and that relationship recruiting-wise.
For me personally, one recruit that I saw working out there in drills or just in person that I left really impressed with just because of his physical presence, his measurements, and the way he was going through his drills. You can tell was on another level. Marvin Jones Jr. out of American Heritage Plantation. I think he's ready to go right now to play at the college football level. And whatever school does pick him, I really think they're getting a next generational type player. And I think he's going to be a star at the next level. And I was just really impressed with his presence there and the way he was going through some of the drills. The Crib, I want to pick your brain. What do you think about Marvin Jones Jr. as a player? Is he that elite that I'm speaking of?
I think he's the top defensive end in South Florida. That's really my opinion. I watched that kid play last year against Chaminade, the Northwesterns of the world. Quarterbacks are still running away from him. He's an exceptional talent due to his athleticism. Converted receiver who's only played about 16, 17 games at the defensive end position. So he's still learning. And when you see guys be able to bend the edge the way he does, when you see guys have length and athleticism, as well as weighing 250 plus pounds, that's a combination that doesn't come around very often. And you can credit that to his dad being an All-American, one of the greatest players to ever play at Florida State, an All-Pro in the NFL. And his brother also plays for West Virginia as a cornerback coming out of American Heritage. So he has that athletic pedigree on top of the work ethic, and obviously he's put a lot of time in to the defensive end position, coming from the offensive side of the ball at the receiver position, which is really finesse and turning into a pass rusher that has dominated games in the run, the pass, on one of the top teams in the country. It's a testament to who he is as a player. Now in the recruiting game, it's hard to grab kids like that when their legacy. He's an FSU legacy. Florida's fighting for him really hard. You're starting to see a lot of the top teams in the country start kind of trickle in once again now that things are opening back up. But it's nice to see that he's out there working out. He didn't have to, especially as one of the top 15 recruits in the country. That's not the kid that you usually see dressing out for those events. Those are the kids maybe showing up, showing face. But it's nice to see that he went out there and did a little bit of individual drill work.
Crib, I'm kind of curious here, man. Was there any big surprises for you while you were there? Was there anybody that was kind of unheralded or low key that really caught your attention at Paradise Camp?
I mean, for the South Florida kids, not so much, but there was a receiver out there, and I don't remember his name. Apologize about that. From Minnesota, who was about 6'3". He was catching passes over guys' heads, taking people deep over the top, inside the IPF when they did one-on-ones. Looked really fluid and sound. And from a kid from Minnesota to come down to South Florida against, some pretty good talent that was on the field that day, and kind of show face like that. I don't remember his name. I know he was from Minneapolis. Obviously Minnesota, but really good player, 6'3". I think he was a 2022 receiver. Obviously, Miami's not taking too many of those just because they got Landon Ibieta, but he was a kid that was a surprise to me. Unfortunately, I just don't remember the name. I remember talking about it with Larry Bluestein and all those guys. And if I get the name, I'll make sure to get it back to you guys. But he was definitely a surprise for me. And then Dylan Russell looked really good. I think he kind of showed out in regards to the defensive line. Obviously, once Marvin Jones kind of stepped to the side when the one-on-ones came on, he kind of put on a show, him and TJ Cappers. And that was a pleasant thing to see because Columbus graduated so much. And I feel like he's going to have an opportunity to really step in and take a hold of that defense along with TJ Cappers.
The Crib, I got to pick your brain, man. You're very close to the American Heritage crew. Jacoby Spells just committed to West Virginia. Obviously, he was heavily considering Miami as well. Coach Earl Little also, did state, West Virginia was a priority for Jacoby Spells, and he was highly interested. A lot of people look at this as a tough loss for Miami, picking West Virginia over Miami, South Florida product. I mean, what do you think about this situation? How does Jacoby Spells fit with that West Virginia football program?
I mean, he's going to step on the field probably right away as a starter. At Miami, that might not be the case, right? I mean, even when Miami's down at corner, they still got talent. West Virginia hasn't had a top 25 recruiting class since 24/7 started. That was something that Andrew Ivins was talking about. So he's a 4.4 kid at cornerback, converted receiver, great ball skills, really turned it on at the end of the year last year. It is a loss for the Hurricanes in this class, especially when you're talking about the lack of corner depth at Miami. I just don't think he saw himself as a depth guy. I think he wanted to be the man in the class. I think he wanted to be someone that steps in right away. But you already have Kamari Rogers in the class. He's a borderline top 100 recruit, basically. So it's hard to be the guy when you're a top 200 recruit going up against the guys a top 100 recruit. And that's just going to happen sometimes. Now, I don't think it affects anything in regards to future kids at American Heritage, like the 2023 kids, or they have a 2025 running back, for example, that's going to be really special. But, it's been a little bit of a pipeline to West Virginia. You see, obviously, Darryl Porter went there, the Marvin Jones brother. So it's, they're kind of building something. Obviously, they have a good relationship. Coach Trickett comes down to South Florida and does an excellent job. But for, the Santana Flemings of the world, the Brandon Ennis's of the world, the DeMond Fagans, the Mark Fletchers, I don't think that's something to project with that, because I don't know if it's the same situation. Those kids are all elite recruits, not changing positions. They know where they want to go. You're going to be fighting with the Alabamas of the world, not so much the West Virginias. This was a little bit of a surprise, I think, for everybody, just because when you think of West Virginia, you think of podunk little place, really not a lot of winning pedigree. But a lot of kids from South Florida necessarily don't want to stay in South Florida because of background or things of that nature. I don't know if it's necessarily a reflection on the Hurricane staff in this case or the program. I think it was just a situation type thing where the kid wanted to be the man in the class. The kid saw an opportunity at West Virginia. He has a familiar face already in the program. It was just a good fit.
Since we're talking about corners, I know you focus on South Florida heavily, but the comment section is just going crazy about this name. Jaheim Singletary, 5-star corner. I mean, he's an Ohio State commit right now. The Crib, have you watched any film on Jaheim Singletary? Mm-hmm. It seems like everyone loves him. You're getting if Ohio State takes you at the cornerback position out of state, I mean, they view you as a star. I mean, what are your thoughts on Jaheim Singletary?
I mean, elite length. I think that's the first thing you could say. 6'1", 6'2". Runs really well. I don't think he's much of a tackler. I haven't seen too much of that on film, but elite cover corner. They obviously came down here and stole Ryan Turner and Jaheim Singletary and targeted those guys really early on, and kind of have latched on to him, haven't really wanted to let him go, and that's unfortunate for the Hurricanes. But when they grab another top 100 recruit, it's possibly an opportunity. I know Jaheim Singletary recently stepped back down on saying I'm 110% committed to Ohio State, but we've seen that before where kids flip the switch and say at the end, maybe this is the best fit for me. T-Rob is going to keep recruiting until the end. He's this kid is arguably the second best corner in the country behind Travis Hunter, but it's going to be a battle. I mean, when you're asking to flip a kid from Ohio State, you better be on your toe. You better be like on your A game. You better be coming at the kid hard. He's better be a kid that comes in and plays right away. Because if you flip that kid and it doesn't turn out to be a good situation, then you're looking at the ramifications of possible going into the transfer portal. Losing that kid and having that reflected on, okay, why did they want to flip this kid if he's not even going to play right away? So I think Miami definitely has an opportunity. I think the last time we were on, we talked about him as a potential flip candidate, especially being a little bit closer to home at Miami. That's potentially something, that works for him, but not being necessarily in the backyard like Jacoby Spells might be something that works in this situation. But I do think it's going to be tough. It's Ohio State we're talking about. They're going to have the number one recruiting class in the country. They got the number one recruit in the country who has a perfect rating on 24/7, generational talent at quarterback. They're going to be fighting for national championships. So you're competing against that. I think Miami needs to have a 10-win, 11-win season to even get a little bit, into that sweepstake. But they got a chance. You got a chance when you got guys like T-Rob, DeMarcus Van Dyke, when Ed Reed's and helping out a little bit and can make a phone call. You got a chance with any defensive back. If you can grab James Williams, you can grab Jaheim Singletary.
No, I 110% agree. I loved how you said, Miami needs to win 10 or 11 games. The regular season is very valuable. This off-season recruiting gains and the wins you get. Florida State has the number 3 ranked recruiting class right now. That's an outstanding job Mike Norvell has done. But I've seen this many times in the past where head coaches slowly lose that ranking and it trickles down to outside of the top 25 or, hits, it doesn't finish in the top 10. So winning your regular season football games is huge. Ross, anything you wanted to touch up on with the crib regarding Paradise Camp before my next question?
Well, there's actually there's one specific player that I wanted to bring up here to the crib, and he's a 2023 kid that he had mentioned earlier, and it's Nathaniel Joseph. I'm not sure if there's anybody that's got as much hype as he does right now at wide receiver in the 2023 class. I mean, he went on a offer spree lately. He was just getting back-to-back big-time offers. Let our fan base know what kind of receiver is Nathaniel Joseph.
He's special talent. Now limited in his position because he's going to have to play slot at the next level just due to his size, but explosive as a true receiver and as a returner. This kid comes in with added ability to advance your special teams to a top 10 level potentially. You got Roscoe Parrish type return ability, but he's also a great receiver. I mean, route running, elite, right? Good hands, in open field quickness, tough player, breaks tackles. Put him in the backfield in high school, and he's scoring from 70 yards out. He actually did it at the Iowa State scrimmages. He's just a special player, and in my opinion, there's 3 elite level receivers in that 2023 class. It's Jaylen Brown from Gulliver Prep, Brandon Ennis, and it's Nathaniel Joseph out of Edison. That kid, Nathaniel Joseph, who's actually related to some Division I kids in his background, Flex Joseph, who played at Miami Central and was a state championship winning running back and now plays at FIU. He's just got the pedigree, good student, no background issues, great kid. But you're going to be fighting with Clemson. You're going to be fighting with Alabama. You're going to be fighting with Oklahoma. You're going to be fighting with Ohio State. That's one kid that I hate to say it, that is going to potentially get out of the state of Florida just because he's so good. We talk about kids with a ton of offers, and a lot of times those are non-committable offers. This kid can commit, right? This kid is a special player, put up elite production in a shortened season last year, over 1,100 total yards of offense, I think, in 6 or 7 games. God bless you. And I think he had 14 touchdowns, right? And he's really single-handedly, he has put Edison back on the map of a contender-type team in the 3A classification. So watching him play, he's one of my favorite players in South Florida just to see in person. He brings a joy to the game as a football player that you love to see. There is no prima donna-ness from Nathaniel Joseph. He's got a great family, both 2-parent home, right? Just hard worker, a core player for any team that he plays on. Well, I love the kid, and I don't think that I think you can describe it as hype for some kids. I think this is real. I think this is just true talent. He's done what he's need to in the classroom. He's done what he needs to in the football field. And he's just one of those kids that's going to end up playing on Sundays, in my opinion, as a slot receiver.
We have 100 people joining us right now live, 17 minutes in. Thank you, everyone that took the time out of their Monday afternoon to join the show, tune in. I think that speaks about the quality of information we have with the crib. If you don't know about the crib, man, I've never met someone that's been able to interact with recruits and have literally this amount of quality information. So I hope everyone really enjoys this show, and thank you again, the crib, for joining us.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the kind words, and I, as a former coach, I try to bring that coach approach to every kid that I come across. And I obviously I'm in the media realm, but I don't try to do the interview, bombard kids with interviews and bring that. I try to bring more of a personal approach. So I'm a South Florida guy. I love the game. I love the kids, and it's been good. It's been good.
Crib, speaking of recruits, there was a big man on campus. We'll get to the other one, but this one he was taking a visit to Coral Gables. Jacob Hood, 6'8". I view him as an offensive tackle at the next level. I'll put him at left tackle, to be honest. This kid was a monster. Were you able to see him at Paradise Camp? I know he wasn't working out, but he was huge. 6'8", 3-star recruit from Nashville, Tennessee. He holds offers from Georgia, Auburn, Miami, Tennessee. Do you know about Jacob Hood at all?
I don't know I saw him there. Obviously, he's an imposing presence when you see him, especially, like I said, the linemen in the area. There was the Marvin Jones of the world. There were the young kids from Columbus. There were some nice young pieces out there from the South Florida area, but it wasn't a ton of great talent out there. So when you see a guy who's 6'8", he's obviously physically imposing. I don't know much about him just because I haven't seen him play in person. I really like to, see a kid move, and especially at the offensive tackle position, because you can see a big kid and he might not be as, his hips might not be there, or the hand placement might not be there, or the strength of the point of contact. So I haven't gotten a chance to really evaluate that on him just because he's from out of the area. But listen, when you can grab a body like that, even if it's just a project, kind of like Michael McLaughlin from Douglas, who's going to be one of those kids that's potentially, an NFL draft pick type kid, as a former tight end turned offensive tackle, big body, 6'7", 6'8", 290 pounds. Anytime you can get those type of bodies in the building, I think you're getting better, even if the film isn't all the way there. Because I'm going to be honest right now, when you see the Hurricanes roster, right, when you see the kids walking around, there's a difference between the Clemsons of the world, the Ohio States of the world, the Alabamas, the Georgias, right? They're just bigger. The teams are bigger. And until Miami gets to that point where they're getting those kids like the James Williams, the Leonard Taylors, right? The projects like Michael McLaughlin, right? You're not going to compete with those teams just because bigger, faster, stronger equals more W's. And I think that even though I don't know much about the kid, if you can get the kid in the building and you can get Feeney, working on him, or Feely's working on him, that's a good thing. I think you have Garen Justice in the building as one of the elite offensive line coaches in college football. I think he's done an excellent job of rebuilding that offensive line that has been a continuous problem for Miami over the last decade. So if you get that kid in, you get better.
Speaking of local offensive linemen, we got to talk about Julian Armea. This kid was at Columbus. He transferred back to St. Thomas Aquinas, if I'm wrong on that. It's very weird to transfer back to a school, but whatever. I respect it. St. Thomas Aquinas. What's the situation there? I know his father is a Florida State alumni. I mean, break down Julian Armea, what you've seen of him, and where do you think he stands right now in recruiting?
Julian Armella is the best offensive lineman in South Florida. I don't think there's much of a conversation there in regards to that. And he's obviously the top target offensive line wise for the Hurricane, just because 6'7", 290 pounds. Again, you get bigger, you get better. He moves really well for his size. He's been in this offseason working with Daniel Luque, the former head coach at University School, who was Marcus Tate's head coach, and has really, really refined his game in regards to the technical parts, hand placement, footwork, things like that, hip, mobility. He's improved tremendously. A lot of times when you were watching him as a sophomore, you were seeing, nice strength. You were seeing him kind of. Did I lose you guys for a second? Sorry about that. But you saw him, especially in camp settings, kind of slinging people around. I don't think you're seeing that now. I think you're seeing him mirror guys really well, keep guys around the pocket instead of kind of pushing it. I think he's an FSU kid, but I don't think it's a lock, right? I think that, him going back to St. Thomas is probably a good thing because Miami's gotten some kids out of St. Thomas Aquinas, right? And although he's leaving Columbus, I think it's an opportunity to see 15 more games out of him, because that's what you're going to get out of St. Thomas. They're going to make it to the state championship game. Mm-hmm. It's a good evaluation period. He's going to get coached up really well. Once again, another elite offensive line coaching staff. And, I think Miami has a chance like I said, as long as they win 10, 11 games, puts themselves in a position to be in a New Year's Day bowl. That's going to entice the Julian Armellas of the world to come, right? And obviously he's been on campus a few times, so that's a good opportunity there as well. Ryan Rodriguez is a close friend of his, played together last year. You've got someone in the building that's able to recruit him on a daily basis. So LSU and FSU are probably the top two right now based on, what you're seeing visit-wise and the progression of his recruitment. It's really been those two teams that he's been showing the most love to. But Miami's got a chance as long as they can stay competitive, especially in the ACC with Clemson. And if you bring some more guys in the boat that are bigger name kids, if you can get an Earl Little, right? If you can grab, some of those 4-star kids, get in that top 15 range, and then stay in that top 10 range for the regular season, I think you got a chance with Armella. And that kid probably comes in and has an opportunity to play right away, especially once he gets in the weight room. Super strong. Like I said, technically sound now. One of the better offensive line prospects we've seen in South Florida, especially in the rankings. We don't usually get guys that are considered the number one offensive tackle in the country in South Florida. So you don't want to miss on those. So
110% agree, man. You never want to miss on local South Florida talent that will literally compete at the next level and compete against you for conference titles and national titles. Ross, we have our next guest backstage who did a tremendous job at Paradise Camp. This is an up-and-coming class of 2023 star. Any other questions you have for the crib before we bring on our next guest?
I'd like to kind of hear real quick from you, Crib. What's your opinion on Miami Central? What do you think about this hype?
I think I'm one of the people that kind of put that hype in motion a little bit. It's real. It's real. I mean, on the offensive side of the ball, there's no weaknesses right now. They have a rotation of about 4 backs that can really play. They got 3 Division I receivers, and that's not including younger kids that we haven't seen yet. K'Wan Jenkins is one of the elite quarterbacks of South Florida. Maybe not recruiting-wise because he's just 6 foot, but if you watch the kid play, you see the talent. Offensive line-wise, they're always going to be super, super good. They have 2 of the better offensive line coaches in South Florida. They bring in Daughtry Richardson. Elijah Miller's an underrated gem offensive guard down here. And then you look at the defensive side of the ball, there's 13, 14 Division I kids potentially on that unit. I mean, it's just, if you look from the front end, you got Kamani Williams, who's a group of 5 fringe power 5 kid at defensive end. Rashawn Rainey, another, group of 5 type talent. And then you have Ruben Bain, who is one of the top defensive players in South Florida, regardless of class. Wesley Basaint, who's maybe the best defender or player in South Florida. When you got guys like that at every level, you look at the Hollandale kids that recently came in. Everybody's talking about Hollandale as one of the best defenses in South Florida. Now they just added that whole entire group on top of already one of the top teams. So, in my opinion, I think everybody in South Florida should be trying to get to that American Heritage Miami Central game that's going to be happening in the playoffs, because that's going to be an iconic game that people are going to talk about years from now. Potentially if things go right, you could be looking at the number 1 versus the number 2 team in the country, and they're not 40 miles apart from each other. So that's a crazy thing that we're talking about, and I'm super excited for the opportunity to break that down and watch it happen.
Gotta love it, man. You're not going to find better information, better quality than the man himself, the Crib, South Florida. Crib, where can the good people find you?
You can find me at the Crib South Florida on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We do have a website. You just search up the Crib South Florida on Google. You'll find all three platforms, and you'll also find our website. So check us out. We try to give as much info as we can. We try to be as interactive as we possibly can as well. And if you reach out, we try to give as many answers as we can. So I appreciate you guys having me on. Like I said, it's always a blast, and always love talking ball with everybody.
Thank you again, Crib. We greatly appreciate it, man. Take care. Have a good night.
Enjoy the rest of your week, man.
All right. Take care. All right, guys. Now our next guest, one of the elite performers in Paradise Camp. Ross, do the introduction.
We have got one of the top 10 defensive linemen in the 2023 class, 5-star David Hicks out of Allen, Texas. How you doing today, David?
I'm doing good.
David, man, it's a pleasure to have you on. I think we were all kind of just astonished and wowed by your performance at Paradise Camp, and the Miami Hurricanes fan base loves you, man. Thank you for coming on the show. How was your time down in Coral Gables? Was that your first visit on campus?
Yes, sir. I've never been to Florida before, sir.
Okay, very cool. How long were you on campus for?
Really, I just came for the camp. I was probably there an hour before the camp started or so, but really, I just came for the camp. So.
Very cool. And how was that talent there at Paradise Camp compared to other camps you've been to?
I would say it was like top 10, top 4 out of school, because I went to 14 schools during June or whatever. So I went to 14 schools, so it was like top 4.
David, what is your current height and weight right now?
I'm 6'4", 250. I mean 260. My fault. Thinking of a couple months ago, 260.
Okay, I'm gonna list off some of the offers that you have, so our fans get an idea of what's going on in your recruitment. You've got offers from Alabama, Clemson, Florida, Georgia, LSU, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Texas, Texas A&M, USC, and Washington, and plus a lot more. What has this been like for you? How has this experience gone?
It's been crazy. I mean, just this time last year, I had one offer and to Texas Southern. So to think a year later I have a lot more, just crazy, humbling.
David, during your time at Paradise Camp, what coaches did you speak with? Did you speak with any former players as well?
I talked to Calais Campbell. I talked to him, and I talked to the D-line coach a lot too.
Really? Okay. How was that experience with those two former players?
It was pretty cool. I like how they came back. It shows a lot about their school, and after their players graduate, it shows a lot about them coming back and giving back to stuff like that. So, yeah, it was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, I mean, Calais Campbell, NFL veteran, Pro Bowl. Did you ever think you would be, having conversations with a player of that status,
Nah. No, like I said, just last year, I was trying to work to get where I am now. So I still know this journey's not done. Now I'm trying to get to where Calais Campbell is right now.
What things are you trying to get better at this offseason?
I'm trying to get better at my mental game and get a little bit better at moving left and right, get faster, bigger, stronger, but mostly the mental game part.
David, how did this last season go for your team down in Texas? I know COVID made things kind of different for everybody, but how was that season for you guys in Allen, Texas?
So actually, I went to Morton Ranch this year. I just moved to Allen. Morton, we had a pretty rough year, but we were a pretty young team, not as experienced as the rest of the teams. We're in a harder district with Katy, Morton Ranch. I mean, Katy Tompkins, Taylor, schools like that. So it's a pretty hard district to win games, and us being younger and not well experienced, kind of threw us down a little bit. But yeah.
From what I remember, Allen, Texas has got one of the biggest and best stadiums for high school sports in the nation. What is that like being a high school player playing at such an elite facility?
It's crazy to think, like, even where I come from in Katy, that stadium is supposed to be, that's $1 million stadium right there, and just to go to Allen and see that stadium, it's like, wow, it's just a different thing. It's not like no one just comes to the games. The stadium's always packed, so it's going to be a different feeling.
David, how's the recruiting process been with the University of Miami? Are you assigned a coach right now that you've been in constant contact with?
I mean, I really haven't talked to any of the coaches that much. I mean, I've talked to Coach Swally. I don't want to pronounce his name wrong, but Coach Swally. Yeah. So I talked to him a couple of times before going there, but I haven't really talked to him that much.
Right now, you've visited 14 schools, you just said. Yeah. What schools so far have caught your attention the most? Just maybe it's facilities, the relationship you have with the coaching staff, just comfort level that you really feel at ease with right now?
Right now, to be honest, I really don't know. There were so many good schools in a fast amount of time. So right now, I'm just trying to piece everything together. So I really don't have an answer to that one.
A lot of people in the comments section say you're the next Khalil Mack. Is that someone you look up to?
Yeah, it is somebody I look up to. Yeah. Hopefully one day they say somebody else the next David Hicks.
Right, exactly. I love that answer, man.
Yeah.
David, speaking of Khalil Mack, is there any players that you like to study film from? Any guys that you can really learn from to take your game to the next level?
I like to study like Chase Young, the Bosas, Lawrence Taylor, Warren Sapp, people like that.
Very cool.
How do you describe your game? Are you strong? Are you smart? Are you passionate? How does David Hicks play football?
I describe my game as different. Like, I play aggressive, but I'm also smart. Like, I know what you're going to do to me before you actually do it. So I'm able to get to the play faster. So I would say I'm more like an aggressive, smart type of person. Yeah.
Gotta love it, man. David, I always ask this question for out-of-state recruits. Did you grow up knowing about the University of Miami and its history? Were you a fan or, because Miami being for out-of-state recruits during your time, our last national title was in 2001. So, do you know it was NFLU? I mean, it is today, and it develops a lot of players.
Yes, sir. To be honest, the only reason I know about Miami is because of Sean Taylor. So.
Absolutely, man. I mean, Sean Taylor, rest in peace, man. One of the greatest to do it at a young age, and it still holds value. His legacy that he's left for young, future stars at the next level like yourself. Well, who's your favorite team growing up in Texas?
I like the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, it's like my favorite team. Yeah.
I'm a 12th man, bro. Been a 12th man since the 80s.
Yeah.
David, I'm kind of curious here. Now, I watch your film. I watched a lot of your film, and you are a very, very strong young man. What kind of weight room stats are you putting up right now?
I put 315 up on bench, 405 on squat, and then power clean 295. So.
Okay. And I'm kind of curious too, with this upcoming season and you playing for a new team now, do you have any statistical goals that you want to hit this next season? Any milestones you want to reach?
First one I really want to reach is state championship. Like, that's before anything is go to state. And my personal goals will probably be just make better stats than I did last year. Even if it's one better, that means I got 1% better than I did last year. So.
All right, David, what's the plan, rest of the offseason? Are you visiting more schools, or, you're just going to be focused on the regular season now?
I'm going to Texas A&M July 31st, I think. Then after that, I'm just getting ready for the season.
Okay, gotta love it, man. Well,
Yeah.
David, it was a pleasure to have you on. We know you're going to do great things on the football field, off the football field. The sky's the limit for you. Ross, anything else you have for David before we let him go?
Yeah, I just got one question for you, David, and I'm trying to get myself a little more familiar with Texas high school sports. Who is Allen, Texas's biggest rival? Who's the battle you guys have yearly?
You asking the wrong person. I'm not going to. I don't. I just moved there, so to be honest, I do not know our biggest rival. So I just know we compete. We like to win, so yeah, that's pretty much how I know what I know right now.
Do you guys have any plans to play any schools from outside the state of Texas?
I don't think so. As of right now, there's no schools outside the state of Texas, but if they wanted to come play us, they can come play us. We're always ready to play.
Gotta love it, man. Gotta love that mentality. David Hicks, going to be the future star of college football. Appreciate your time again, David. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
All right, David. Have a great night.
All right, you too.
All right, David Hicks. Once again, Ross, kind of break him down. He was a star at Paradise Camp, class of 2023. What are your initial thoughts of his film?
When I watch his film, I immediately see why 24/7 Sports has him ranked as a 5-star. This is a kid who is absolutely dominant on the defensive line, and he's a kid who is kind of just starting to find his way. I mean, this is upside, upside, upside. He's still figuring out the technical aspect and still figuring out handwork and still figuring out footwork. He wins a lot of his battles with strength right now because he is just superior strength for a guy, and he actually really knows how to work leverage well. So he wins a lot of battles right now. I have no doubt in my mind that he will take his game to the next level. He will get the technical stuff figured out because he's already starting to show it already. So, I mean, this is flat out, Paul. This is an elite player, and this is definitely a 5-star caliber guy.
All right. Before our next guest comes on as scheduled, let's talk about it. We lose out to Jacoby Spells against West Virginia. Zane Durant commits to Penn State as well. Those were two targets Miami was pursuing. What are your initial thoughts about these, recruits not going in Miami's direction? Both are from the state of Florida as well.
The Spells one was a little bit worrisome for me, Paul, just because I really felt for a long time that was a guy that T-Rob identified and the type of guy that T-Rob truly develops and turns into a special player. He's that 3-star with the 4-star upside. You know what I'm saying? To lose him to West Virginia was tough, I do like Zane Durant, but I feel like we can still maneuver ourselves with some very good options there. I think Penn State got a good player, but I think we're going to be okay on that defensive line part. But, man, Paul, I really want to see us lock down that next big-name cornerback. Kamari Rogers is great, but I'd love to see us lock down another guy.
Yeah, I mean, who do you think are some names we can go after? I know a lot of people have been talking about Antoine Fegans. I believe he's from the state of Alabama, out-of-state cornerback, 4-star recruit. Miami's been recruiting him. They also the staff believes that they have a shot with Fegans. I mean, we just had the crib. He said Earl Little Jr. seems like a lock to Alabama, so that pipe dream isn't happening. We missed out with spells. We can revisit that situation as we get closer to November, early National Signing Day, or whenever it is. So where do you think we stand at the cornerback position? I know there's Nick Burke, I believe his name is
Cole.
Colt Burke.
Yeah, Nick Cole.
Nick. Okay, my head's spinning right now. So where do we stand?
It's tricky right now, Paul. That spells commitment to me was kind of our, it was our next move kind of thing after Kamari Rogers. I'm not quite sure when the next move or the next commitment will be for us in that aspect. I really like Nick Cole a lot. I think he's a very underrated player, and I think he's very versatile, and that's something that I'm sure T-Rob wants to add to this secondary. Versatility on the offensive side and defensive side has basically become the name of the game now. If you can do multiple things and exceed at multiple things, you're going to find a role on the team.
The comment section is going crazy over Chris Graves. He was just at LSU. I honestly think we can land him. First of all, I think he's a Power 5 player, and I think he'll be a huge get for the University of Miami. He's out of Fort Myers, Florida, Bishop Vero High School. Ross, what do you think about Chris Graves, man, in our situation right now? Travaris Robinson, this is a must-get.
I agree. This is an absolute must get, and this is a very, very high-end athlete. He is a guy that, like a lot of high school players, he is still refining his game. He's still working on technical stuff. But when you look at his tape, he's got the natural stuff that you want to see for secondary. The loose hips, the quick footwork, just the natural traits, some of the things that you really can't teach some guys, So he's got that ability, and it's why we're so high on him in that aspect. I think focusing on Chris Graves going forward is probably going to be something that we hear quite a bit about.
I'll tell you what, if LSU evaluates a cornerback and they bring him on campus, LSU is known to be DBU. They're very elite in the secondary. If they're giving Chris Graves a look, local products, he's out of Fort Myers, Florida. He's on the west side of the state. State of Florida prospect, I think that's a positive sign right there. And I think it'll be a huge, huge get for Miami to bring him in this class and to grow with Kamari Rogers. So we'll see. But I think we're still building the Jacoby spells. Hey, let's revisit that when the time comes. I don't think we're out with Jacoby spells just yet. I'm curious. A lot of people are saying Jaheim Singletary out of Jacksonville. We got to compete against Alabama. We got to win 10 or 11 games and compete for the ACC title game. I'll be real. If you want to land Jaheim Singletary, because like the crib said it best, man, 9 wins won't get you Jaheim Singletary. And plus, when he gets here, he's going to want to start right away, hands down. And I think he's capable of being a day one starter, and it'll be a huge land for Miami. But we got to win football games.
There's no doubt about it, Paul. You don't get a guy like Jaheim Singletary if you don't win double-digit games. It's just the way it is. And when you're battling against a team like Ohio State, a team that traditionally, especially recently, has done nothing but bring in elite talent for their secondary, it makes the battle even tougher for us.
All right, well, when we're talking about elite, we got to talk about the best of the best. We got 5-star recruit coming from the Pacific Northwest. He was at Paradise Camp. He was taking his official visit at the University of Miami. We got Jaden Wayne. What's going on, my man?
What's going on? How you guys doing?
Good, man. Thanks for coming on, man. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Ross, man, introduce Jaden Wayne and kind of his player evaluation that you see in him, because I know you're very high on Jaden.
This is the guy I refer to as the Northwest Trench Bully. This is the guy in the Northwest. We are talking about a dominant pass rusher. He is going to be giving offensive tackles nightmares at Lincoln High School this next season. He is a guy that has the physical traits and the physical strength you already want to see, combined with some of the technical aspects, advanced technical aspects for a player his age. This is upside, upside, upside. We have an elite player on with us right now. Absolutely.
Jaden, how was your trip to Coral Gables?
And it was fun, exciting. Weather was good.
Yeah, no, I'm sure, man. Walk me through it. What did you do on your visit when you got there from the airport? Did you have a host player hang out with you?
We had Jake Swally.
Okay.
He toured us around the facility as soon as we got there. Then we took some photos. So went over some schemes they're gonna be doing for me and stuff.
Very
Jaden, you guys have been busy lately, man. FSP took you guys on kind of a tour through the South. What was that experience like for you? What schools did you guys stop at?
We stopped at Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Auburn, Texas A&M, and Texas and TCU.
What was that experience like for you, Jaden? Did you learn some stuff while you were out there?
Definitely, it was fun. It was my first time doing all that, so I enjoyed it.
Jaden, I saw, at Paradise Camp, you were talking with Calais Campbell, Gregory Rousseau. I mean, these are currently Calais Campbell's a star in the NFL. He's a veteran. Then you had the future of the NFL, first round pick, Gregory Rousseau. How was that experience, talking with current NFL players and the success, they're going to have or already have had?
It was big time. Big time. I'm just trying to get to where they're at.
Nah, absolutely, man. And how was that whole experience, being at Paradise Camp, interacting, you seeing the current players there, you see past players, the coaching staff, and then recruits as well. How was that kind of, you left the University of Miami after that experience?
It was fun to watch. Just seeing all the brotherhood and the culture there.
Absolutely. Was it, I feel like that's a unique experience, the camp setting compared to other places. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Jaden, what's the goal for Lincoln High School up in Tacoma this upcoming season? What are you guys going to do?
Try to get the ring. That's the goal.
Are you feeling pretty good about that this year? You guys got a team that can do it?
Yeah, definitely. I'm feeling great.
Who are some other players that we should keep an eye out for that play for Lincoln High School?
My boy Jabari, Tua, Chance, and this the whole team.
What are you trying to work on this offseason to get better for this upcoming season?
Speed, definitely work on my strength, hand technique, and being vocal.
Absolutely. What's the agenda after you toured Paradise Camp? Are you going to be visiting any other schools so far?
After our football season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gonna keep it in the West Coast or maybe go to the East Coast as well?
East Coast.
East Coast. Cool.
Jaden, let our fan base know, and this was something that I talked about last time we were on, but let our fan base know again. What kind of player are you? What do you bring to the football team that you're on?
I'm a dog. I'm the dominant one on the field. I'm a leader. I let the game do the talking.
Gotta love it, man. Gotta love that mentality. Yeah. Jaden, I always ask these, out-of-state recruits, did you grow up watching the Miami Hurricanes at all?
Not really.
No, huh? So were you kind of surprised about the history of Miami, reading and, speaking to all these former players there?
Yeah, I was surprised. I didn't know all them players went there. Crazy.
Yeah, no, it really is surreal, the history, and I'm glad you got to experience it live and being there. I'm sure that was a cool experience for you being in the West Coast. Who was your favorite team growing up?
Never really had one.
Okay, fair.
Jaden, what did you think about the facilities while you were at Miami? Did anything catch your attention?
The campus is crazy. It's nice.
As far as, in comparison to other campuses that you've been on, is Miami rank as one of the top campuses that you've seen so far?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's up there.
Is Jake Swally been the primary recruiter for you, or you've been actively talking with other coaches?
Jake Swally.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's that relationship been with Jake?
We talk.
Okay.
Like a week.
Any other schools right now, you built a good relationship with throughout this process?
Let's say Oregon, Alabama, UW, USC, Georgia. Florida.
I got one more question for Jaden Ross. Then I'm gonna let you take the floor. But Jaden, you're a 5-star recruit right now. Is ever kind of like a pinch me moment? Like, hey, I'm a 5-star recruit. I got Alabama, Oregon, Miami, all these schools across the nation, and I'm visiting all these programs, talking to NFL players. Does that ever hit you sometimes? And like, how grateful it is to be in that position?
I'm blessed. Just gotta keep working.
Jaden, you sent me some pictures while you were there at camp. You got a chance to put on a Canes uniform and experience what that was like. I got to ask, what did you think about the turnover chain?
It's crazy. I like it. All them diamonds on it. It's heavy.
Is it as heavy as it looks? It's that heavy?
Yes, it's that heavy.
That is one of our big things at Miami now, and it's one of the things that truly gives our team fuel when we need it during a game. When that turnover chain comes out, the excitement level raises up. I'm really glad you got a chance to get your hands on that and actually feel how heavy it really is.
Mm-hmm.
Ross, that's all the questions I have for Jaden, man. It's a pleasure to speak with you. You're going to do great things, Jaden. I know at the college football level and off the field, man. You're a very well-spoken young man, and we know you're going to do great things. Ross, anything else you wanted to ask Jaden before we let him go?
Jaden, I'm kind of curious, just from your standpoint, do you have any statistical goals that you want to reach this next season at Lincoln?
Just a champion.
Okay, fair enough, man.
Gotta love it, man. Jaden Wayne, 5-star recruit all the way from the Pacific Northwest. Thank you again, Jaden. It was a pleasure to speak with you. And once again, man, best of luck this regular season. We're really pulling for you.
All right, thank you, guys. Appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
man. All right, that was Jaden Wayne. Ross, break down Jaden once again for everyone who may be coming into the interview late. Just what kind of player he brings to the table.
He is no doubt a 5-star defensive end. We're talking about the physical traits, the strength, and the technical traits that he's starting to develop. I mean, he's kind of got some of that prototype that we look for, Paul, that longer. He's not necessarily lean, but he's got a little bit of length to him. The one thing that Jaden Wayne can do is he can add more muscle to that frame he's got and really not lose any athleticism. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens when he gets in a strength and conditioning program in college.
Yeah, I mean, Jaden Wayne's already a 5-star recruit. Miami's pulling the full court press for him. He's all the way from the state of Washington. I mean, the sky's going to be the limit for him. You're going to be hearing about Jaden Wayne a lot. Let's say it's not in the orange and green, putting on the pads for the Miami Hurricanes, just in college football itself. I mean, Jaden's really going to be a star at the next level. And physically, he's already at the same size similarities, just as guys like Calais Campbell and Gregory Rousseau. Height-wise, I mean, he has the profile as an NFL football player. The skill set is there. It's just developing and landing him at your football program. So, man, I always get excited when we talk to Jaden Wayne. He's going to be a star.
Paul, when he started sending me some pictures while he was at camp, and he showed me that picture he took with Jalen Phillips, it really spoke to me about how much of a physical presence Jaden Wayne really is. I mean, this isn't even a guy who's not even a senior yet. We're talking about a guy who's a 2023 kid, and he already looks like a college athlete.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We got a couple other guests who should be joining us. We got one coming up at 8:30. Recruiting is always a hot topic during the off season, especially now. Any other names to look out for coming up this month, Ross, or just the recruiting cycle you want to touch up on? Because it's really going to be a battle out there for Miami. Right now, we are currently, this is just facts, guys. I'm just relaying the message, so don't attack me. We are last in the ACC according to 24/7 recruiting rankings. Look, early National Signing Day is a long time from now. Let's see what happens at the end of the July, and we're working on some great prospects. But we do need to get better than last in the ACC.
There's no doubt about it. We need to start turning this hype into something tangible and something real. Guys like Wesley Bisiante and even the other core, the linebackers that we're going after. We know how crucial the linebacker core is right now. I would love to see some movement there, Paul. I would really love to see some movement there for Coach Patke and Coach Aristide. Getting a new coach in from A&M and getting himself established in our area is an important thing. You know, players seem to absolutely love him at A&M, and they were upset that he's gone. So hopefully that turns into something positive for us. Another player that I can't forget about is Daughtry Richardson. To me, this is a very, very important piece, and he's the type of guy that you want to identify in the area when there's not as much talent as normal.
Yeah, no, Daughtry Richardson is a name to look out for. By the way, guys, he's considering Florida State. I think we're in a great position with him, but right now that's the situation is Miami, Florida State for Daughtry Richardson. Florida State currently has the number 3 ranked recruiting class in the nation. I think as of right now, they have a very solid class with Omar Graham Jr., Travis Hunter. You know, we can't lose Wesley Bassam to Florida State. They'll have the 2 top linebackers in South Florida. We cannot lose Daughtry Richardson to Florida State. He's probably the best offensive lineman in Miami-Dade County. Julian Armea's father went to Florida State. If they went out on Julian Armea, okay, if they get Marvin Jones Jr., if they get Daughtry Richardson, that's a very good class, Mike Norvell's second year at Florida State. So it's going to be very interesting where things stand. We got to fight through. These battles are going to go down to the wire. I'll tell you what, Isaiah Horton, great player. I think he ends up in the SEC. I don't think he'll be a Miami Hurricane. Could be wrong. Recruiting is a crazy game. But I know a lot of fans were excited about Isaiah Horton, you know, as a possibility. I just don't think it's going to happen, Ross.
I hate to say it, but I feel kind of the same way you do, Paul. I'm really high on Isaiah Horton, man. I mean, I've watched a lot of his tape, and the things that he offers are those kind of SEC type upside, you know? I mean, it's not surprising to me to hear that that's where a lot of the buzz has settled for his name. You know, we got a guy like Sean Wilson, a guy like we've spoken about from New York that was down at Paradise Camp, you know, 6'4", 6'5", wide receiver, good frame, still adding muscle. He's definitely a guy that I'm sure the staff is going to start getting in contact with a little more as time goes on, especially if we see a guy like Horton make that commitment elsewhere.
You know, speaking of the you know, image likeness bill that was just passed, we got HBCU Spotlight. Bringing up a good question, you know, does that help or hurt Miami in recruiting? Believe it or not, and I just did a pre-recorded podcast with a Clemson content creator, and that'll come out live this week. We'll upload it soon. You know, you can't use the image likeness bill to help you in recruiting in the sense of like a car dealership cannot go to you and say, hey, if you sign with Miami, we can give you this X amount. If you sign with Alabama, we can give you this X amount. That can't be involved in the recruiting scheme. And I don't know how you police it, but I'll say this. Bigger markets are going to benefit a lot more than smaller towns. Los Angeles and Miami. Now, I will say a program like Oregon that's backed by Nike, I think it'll help them out a lot as well. So, you know, programs with that edge that have a big market are going to do well. And also, I think programs such as Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State that have a big following throughout the country, they're going to have an edge as well because they have the market for it. Notre Dame, they have their own TV channel basically with NBC. You know, they have a huge alumni base. There's a big following for Notre Dame, even if you didn't attend the university. Notre Dame's going to have a huge edge. So I think the smaller programs, maybe the Clemsons that don't have the biggest alumni base, okay, right now they don't have the strongest market. Clemson, South Carolina is literally, I don't know, it's like 2 blocks long, let's say. You know, I think that's where Miami has the edge over. And I think Miami plays into its favor, the image likeness bill, for recruits wanting to come here. What do you think, Ross?
I think it definitely is a big thing for us, and I think that we're already starting off in a very positive way. And I love seeing De'Aaron King kind of take it and run with it, you know? And to not just make it about himself already. He's making it about the team. He's talking about sharing the money that he's made with teammates that need to, you know, get a little help financially. We know that it's not easy for a lot of these guys. They don't have a lot of money to work with when they're in college. I think it's going to be a really, really good thing for us. But there is a school I want to bring up that I think is going to benefit a lot from this. And it's a school for the simple fact that they don't have any competition in their own state. But a place like Nebraska, you know, I mean, they haven't had a great football program, but the whole entire state still tunes in to watch them play. They still show up at games. they're going to support that team. So I could see like a college, like in Nebraska, who really doesn't have a lot of FBS competition in their state or even any. I could see them taking advantage of this pretty well too.
Yeah, no, it's going to be very interesting how everything plays out. And we have our next guest who's being actively recruited by the Miami Hurricanes. He received his offer at Paradise Camp. He's a very good talent. They call him Snoop. We got Snoop Amaama. What's going on, Snoop?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Hey, man, it's a pleasure to have you on the scoop, my man. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good, man. So how was Paradise Camp for you?
Man, it was awesome. A lot of good competition. It was just fun to go back out there again, just get a little taste of everything, you know?
Yeah, you received an offer from the University of Miami after camp ended. Was that even going through your head as something that potentially could happen with a good performance, or were you surprised?
I was actually surprised because I was just going in just looking to ball out at the camp and hoping to get on their radar. But when they offered me, it meant a lot.
Absolutely, man. How's that been, that relationship with Garen Justice?
Oh, it's been good. Me and him call, a little bit, and he just asked me how my mom, my dad are doing, and just ask how my family is. So it's a good relationship between me and Coach Justice.
What did you think about the Miami facilities while you were there? Did anything really stand out to you?
I'd have to say there's like a part, there's like a bridge, and then there's like there's a big area of water, and some people say just go fishing. And what blew my mind is they said they have like barracuda sharks in there, so that was pretty scary. So it was awesome.
Was that your first time in Florida?
No, I was out there for another camp. It was for Giant Skills camp. My auntie and them run that, and then I went out there for that. So,
Snoop, how's this recruiting process been for you?
Been a blessing, especially I can have my family with me through everything. So it's just been awesome.
Absolutely. And what schools are actively recruiting you right now across the country?
Pretty much just all the schools that offer me. I've just been keeping in touch with all of them. I call them every now and then, all the coaches, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I actually saw you live, believe it or not, at Paradise Camp. I was there in person, and like before, like because I didn't know about you. You know, you didn't have any Miami Hurricanes offer. I just saw your, kind of your presence and your measurements. I'm like, this is a Power 5 offensive lineman. That's literally what I told myself. I was like, is this a junior college recruit? Like what am I like? How do I not know who this person is? And then I later find out through Buzz, like, hey, we had someone from the West Coast offensive lineman. Camp, and then you got the offer, and I'm like, okay, like 1 + 1, it clicks now, and here I am talking to you, man. So I was left really impressed with you, man. I think you're doing great things, man. I really do. Snoop, go ahead, Ross. Go ahead.
Okay, I was going to ask you, what is your current height and weight right now?
I'm 6'5", and I'm at 330.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you working on this off season to take your game to the next level? What do you really want to get better at?
I want to get better at my run blocking. My run blocking last year, like I was okay at it, but I just want to build up on it and just get very aggressive this year. Get explosive,
Mm-hmm.
Snoop, what are you trying to work on this off season for the regular season?
I'm dropping weight because currently my school moved me out to right tackle.
Nice.
So I'm dropping weight, and then I'm just going to focus on getting my feet faster and just working on climbing up to the second level and just making sure my pass pro is elite. So,
we actually, speaking of, Paradise Camp, we actually had David Hicks on, who was going through the drills, offensive, defensive line, I think with you. I could be wrong. At Paradise Camp. How was the competition there?
It was good. A lot of JUCO kids there, so it was good to go against older guys there. So it was just awesome. Great experience.
Absolutely, man. Do you plan on going to any games this upcoming season for the University of Miami
Yeah,
Or
I'm trying to go to one of the big games over there, take my
yeah,
physicals, and just get the whole experience. So
absolutely, man. That'll be dope. I think you'll like it a lot. And playing in a professional stadium such as Hard Rock, you know.
yeah.
You know, you say that your family runs the Giant Skills. Could you let our fan base know a little bit about what's Giant Skills all about?
So Giant Skills, they like to focus on offense and defensive linemen, and they just really try to focus on just those positions because they believe that the heart of the team is where the linemen are at. So they try to make sure we're explosive and making sure we're locked down on everything. So that's what they focus on a lot.
Is that all based out of Utah, or do you guys have that spread out across the nation?
They're in California. That's where their home is at. And then we recently just been going around the world, just going to Texas. We had a 5-on-5 out there, and then sometimes they have camps out here in Utah. And then it's just like a mix between California and here. And then when we go like around the world to like Texas, like I said, they just link up with some of their friends that they know from out there. So yeah.
How you doing so far in the weight room?
I'm doing good, just trying to make sure I'm strong in the weight room because, the weight room is it's very important for us linemen, because most of our strength, you have to build that in the weight room. And the stronger you are in the weight room, the more easy it is to move guys on the field.
No, absolutely, man. What are your measurements so far, maxing out wise?
So my bench is 330, and then my squat is 440. And then my power clean, I'm at 2 plates and a quarter on that.
Pretty impressive, man. 330 bench, and you're what, 17?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, by the time you're 22, that should be a lot stronger, right?
Yeah.
So, that's pretty impressive, man. Definitely, Snoop. We're gonna be looking out for you this upcoming season, and
yes, sir.
Hopefully we can talk to you a lot more, man. After getting that offer, man, I'm excited to see how you where you choose your next program and how you develop at the program, because I think you're going to be a very good player.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. Ross, anything else you want to ask us, Snoop, before we let him go?
Yeah, Snoop. Let our fan base know what kind of player you are. How do you describe your game? Are you strong, passionate? Who is Snoop?
I'd have to say, I play with a lot of emotion and passion. And I just got to say I'm a dog out there, I just be, when I get on that field, there's like no friends out there, And I'm very aggressive, very explosive, and I feel like I can do so much for whatever program I choose. So
when I see your film, I see raw power. When you engage with defensive linemen, sometimes their heads even snap back because you're giving them so much pop, bro. You have got that power, dude. It is fun to watch your tape. Absolutely. And I can see why Garen Justice made you that offer.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So good question. How'd you get the name Snoop?
When I was a kid, I was a big fan of Charlie Brown, and my favorite character on there was Snoopy. And when I was little, I wore a lot of the Snoopy pajamas. So the name just, it just came.
Hey, man, well, I'll tell you what. We have over 130 people watching us live, and the Kane fan base loves you, Snoop. So, hey, it'll be great to get you down for an OV, man, and we love you, man. So we know you're going to do great things.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely, man. Snoop, thank you for your time, man. Have a great night.
You too.
All right, guys. That's Snoop Amaama, 3-star offensive lineman. Received an offer, class of 2022, after Paradise Camp, and his performance. Gotta love it, man. This kid is going to be a star. What do you like about Snoop that you've seen so far, Ross? And then I'll chime in.
What I like about him, and it's something that we talked about right before he jumped off there, is his strength, Paul. I mean, his raw, natural strength is pretty incredible, honestly. It really is. I mean, we're talking about a guy who hasn't defined his body yet, but is already physically dominating basically on almost every snap he takes. And to hear that he wants to kind of get more familiar, get more pride in his run blocking, that's fantastic. I love hearing that from recruits, especially at a younger age like that. So for him to be working on his pass blocking and run blocking from the interior offensive line, that's just fantastic, Paul. That kid is a beast.
Yeah, I mean, what I saw at Paradise Camp from Snoop, like I said, I didn't know who he was before. I just saw him and his presence. He was 6'5". You know, the kid was huge. He was a truck. I honestly thought he was a college football player. He looks like a Power 5 right tackle right now at any college football program. What does he rely on? His strength and power, because he can get away with that at the high school level. Needs to work on some footwork. So I think if you put a couple moves on him, he'll get a little lost in the trenches, but give him Garen Justice as his offensive line coach, develop him. I think you can have a starting right tackle at the next level. And I think he has a very bright future, and I'll stand by that. His measurements are there.
There's no doubt about it, Paul. This is speaking like we kind of do with Jaden Wayne, a 17-year-old kid who has a college body already. While the muscle tone and that might not be exactly what we're looking for at the college level, the raw strength is already there. This is a guy, and especially like you said, if he works on his footwork, Paul, and his footwork starts to get even just a little bit quicker, we're talking about a truly, truly dominant interior offensive lineman.
All right, Ross. Well, we'll stick it out for a couple more minutes with our last guest, who I would love to have on the show. Depends on, him. I think Ross is going to send me a private message with the situation. But, Ross, anything else you want to add?
Just really excited that we've been able to bring on some of these guests, Paul. I mean, these are elite guests. And to have them interested in the University of Miami and have them interested enough that they want to jump onto a program like ours to talk about their experience there, it's just amazing, man. I love it.
All right, so our next guest is coming on in 5 minutes, who I'm very, very interested in speaking with. He's another great player, and he's actually a part of the class of 2022 as well. Hey, Ross, let's talk about the wide receiver position real quick. I mean, Jaden Gibson. You think right now he's going to go to Florida?
I mean, if I had to give you an answer, I mean, if I was pressed for it, unfortunately, right now I'd have to say he's going to Florida. I don't think we're out of it at all, though. I think that this is still a battle that we're very much in. But as far as a lean would go, I think he's a little bit leaning towards Florida, unfortunately.
Okay. Jaden Gibson, we're fighting with Florida. Isaiah Horton's going to the SEC. Who's option 3?
A guy that we talked about, Paul, a guy like Sean Wilson, possibly.
Sean Wilson.
To add that kind of height and length when we're missing on some of these other guys, it would actually be extremely valuable for us, Paul. I mean, there's no doubt about it that we need that height and length on our wide receiver core. The jury's still out right now. There's some people that see Sean Wilson as a jumbo wide receiver, kind of the role that Jaleel Skinner's played in high school. And there's some people that say if he adds a little bit of weight, he might be a truly dominant pass-catching tight end, like a true weapon. So no matter what position he ends up playing, he offers that size and length and that strength that we really need out there.
Who do you think is going to be our next commit? I say Chris Graves, Daughtry Richardson. I depending on the date they sign. I mean, I think those two are going to be Miami Hurricanes. I don't think we lose them.
I feel the same way. That's literally the first two guys.
I could be 110% wrong. I think Daughtry Richardson and Chris Graves.
That is the first two players that popped into my head when you said that, Paul. And I think that the staff is also feeling the same way we are on that. It sounds like the staff has made a full push for these guys, and they're letting them know that they're priorities.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think you need to get the best offensive lineman in Miami-Dade County. You need to land Chris Graves. If not, he's going to go to an SEC program. Jaheim Singletary, hey, if you grab him, great. But, it's a tough situation. 5-star recruit from Jacksonville, comes down to the regular season. Before our next guest comes on shortly, Ja'Cory Brown did not have the best performance at the Elite 11 competition. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that that's a really tough thing to put a guy like Ja'Cory in, honestly. He's there based off of his dual threat ability and the upside he has in the future. We know that he's got to refine his throwing mechanics. We know that he's got to work on his throwing motion. He's got to develop a little more touch on passes. So being in a Elite 11 kind of event like that, where you're kind of just sitting back there one-on-one having to make plays with only your arm a lot of the time. That's tough for Jacurri, but I did hear that when he was on the move and when he was rolling out, he definitely looked a lot sharper.
Hey, once again, Elite 11, if you follow the competition, it's not always correct in evaluations. It's a competition, so people have bad weekends. They have bad days. Once again, I think we're in the right situation at the quarterback position with the coach who's supervising that role. It's not like Mark Richt's son, for example, or a Dan Eno situation. So we'll be fine. I'm not worried at all. Any surprise commits do you think could happen?
I guess
maybe?
I have to say, honestly, Paul, I still feel like we have a chance with Malik Ogbo. Honestly, that's a name that we haven't brought up, a little bit lately, but I still think that door's open. His family had a fantastic time down at Miami, and the big thing for him was getting his family comfortable with the idea of playing across the country. Now, don't get me wrong. It is going to be an absolute battle to pull that guy, just like it is for Jaden Wayne all the way across the country. But that is a guy who could definitely be a surprise commit for us, and he stays quiet, Paul. Ogbo stays low-key. So he could just pop up whenever and decide that he's going to announce to a school. That's just the kind of guy he is.
110% agree. I think Jaleel Skinner, that's going to be Coach Fields' little project there. If they can get him to commit, that would be a huge win for Miami. It's not going to be an easy competition, but I think Jaleel Skinner and Demario Tolan as well is another name to look out for. Devin Jackson is very interested. Wesley Basaint, I think, is going to end up at Miami. Demario Tolan, I think we had a great step forward with him. Once again, that's an SEC player right there. So you want him in the orange and green.
I was really happy to hear about the hype and the advancements that we're making with Tolan. It really sounds like he thinks Miami is definitely a place that he can play and prosper at. And to hear that kind of stuff and to hear that hype for it gets me kind of excited because I'm really high on Tolan. I didn't like losing out on Omar Graham. I didn't like that at all. So a guy like Tolan, guys like Devin Jackson, those are the kind of guys that can come in and really make me feel a lot more comfortable with the way the linebacking core will end up in 2022.
Eric, thanks for joining the chat. What's up, Paul? What's up, Ross? Just logged in. Everyone worried, or are we cool with the patience being employed by In Manny We Trust? I mean, what do you think, Ross? I want to kill some time before we have our next guest come on the scoop. In Manny We Trust, are you on that hashtag? Are you trusting the process, or, are you really impatient and you demand wins?
I expect wins, Paul. I expect wins this year, and there's no reason why we shouldn't. Our schedule, the returning players we have, the coaching staff that we've brought together finally, I expect wins this year, and if it doesn't happen, something's wrong, Paul. It really isn't, especially if De'Aaron King is healthy all season. Something's wrong there if we don't improve our win totals. I truly am impressed, though, with Diaz's ability to move on from one season to the next, identify what went wrong, and try to bring in somebody that can help us in that area. We've brought in some fantastic coaches like Garen Justice, Rob Likens, just to name a few, even Jess Simpson coming back. Fantastic move. So we've got the guys to get the job done. We just really got to get the job done. You know what I'm saying?
All right, Ross. Well, speaking of guys to get the job done, this one's a part of the class of 2022. We got wide receiver Landon Ibieta on the scoop. What's going on, Landon?
What's up?
Good, man. It's a pleasure to have you on, man. We're really excited to just, talk ball with you, and we're huge fans of your game.
Sure.
Landon, man, what was it like when you made that commitment to the University of Miami? Was it kind of surreal for you, high school football player growing up and, to finally make your commitment to the University of Miami? How was that feeling?
I can't lie. I was kind of nervous making the decision just because, like I said before, it's like the biggest decision I've made really so far in my life. So you want to be 100% sure. I mean, I knew it was the right decision. Like right after I made it, after the nerves went away, and just I was still on the visit, so I still got to see a lot more things that I really liked.
Absolutely, man. And what drove you towards that commitment? What factors were in play? Maybe it was just the family relationship with the coaching staff, being the city of Miami, just as examples.
I think it was everything really. Like just talking to the coaching staff. I mean, I got to see everything I wanted to see for me to make a decision, and then just hanging out with the players, just hearing them talk about the program and just everything like that. Like, because like I said, Miami, there's a lot of distraction, and I feel the players are really bought into the program, which means they're doing something right over there.
Landon, when I started talking to you a couple of days ago to get this interview set up, you had spoke to me and said that you were at 7-on-7 nationals. How did that go for you guys?
It didn't go well, actually. We probably had the best team there, and we lost the first game to a team that really shouldn't have been close. But I mean, it happens. It's 7-on-7. It's a short game. You can only mess up. You really have to score every single drive. You don't score one drive, you could lose.
What are you working on this off season to take your game to the next level?
Really a lot. I've been working on like flexibility because that's really going to help everything. Speed, explosion, it helps jumping, everything. That's really what I feel I need.
Landon, comment section's going crazy, man. Are you in part actively, reaching out to other recruits being recruiting by Miami and, building a relationship with them?
I mean, I'm good friends with some of the bootleggers guys. So like Jordan Allen, I know we're trying to get him there. That's the main one.
Absolutely, man. What can you tell us about Jordan Allen that you've seen? Kind of what kind of player he brings to the table at the college football level.
He's a very physical corner. Like if you look at him, he just looks like a grown man already. And once he gets his hands on you at the line, like there's really no getting off of it.
Gotta love it, man. What are some differences between, Louisiana football and, let's say, South Florida football that you can think of?
I'd say it's really similar in a way.
Similar, okay.
Because I'd say the speed, like just in the South, there's a lot of speed. And I know especially in South Florida, just playing in the 7-on-7 tournament down there, all those guys have speed. And I feel like Louisiana has a lot of speed as well. That's the main thing. The only difference is South Florida, they produce a lot of like lengthy athletes. Like everyone's like kind of wide wingspan. Like they have like the physical attributes like to play at the next level already.
Landon, COVID made things difficult for teams around the nation, and every high school kind of experienced something different. What kind of season did you guys have this last year in high school?
Oh, we had a good season. We made it to the quarterfinals. We went 10-2. We lost to the state champions in the quarterfinals, and if we were on the other side of the bracket, we probably would have went to the state championship. But it was a successful season for us.
What kind of stats did you put up this last season?
I had 33 catches for 730 yards and 14 touchdowns.
Gotta love it. Landon, who do you model your wide receiver play towards? Is there a certain wide receiver you watch?
I watch a lot of guys, like kind of like to break down a bunch of different guys, and you can kind of get a few things from each guy you watch. But I started off watching Jerry Jeudy just because it's route running, and like that's something I pride myself on is route running. Devontae Adams, those are the main ones, and then I get like those little Julian Edelman, Wes Welker comparison. So I started watching them a little bit too.
Yeah, man. Those are some great examples to model your play after. What's something, you can tell people that they may not know about Landon Ibieta? Maybe it's his work ethic, mentality when he takes the football field that you want Canes Nation to know about you.
I'd say I've been playing tackle football since I was 4 years old. So I've been doing forever now. And it's just like, I feel like it's a part of me. And like, if I didn't have football, I don't really know where I would be. So I'll just say, like, you don't have to worry about me, like, getting off track in Miami or anything like that.
Now, Landon, let our fan base know, what's your relationship like with Coach Likens? What kind of coach is he, and what kind of advice has he been able to give you?
Yeah, Coach Likens, he likes, like, if I have any film of myself playing, he likes me to send it to him, and he breaks it down with me before I was even committed. So it just shows, like, he's really here to help everyone get better, and he's just all around good guy. Just from talking to him on the phone to talking to him in person, he's the same person every time. You know what to expect from him, and it's just that's something I like.
When you hear Miami football, when someone says those two words, or even Miami Hurricanes football, what immediately pops into your head?
Probably the old school Miami. Like, I saw the I don't know if it was a 30 for 30 or something like that, and that's what really Sean Taylor's the first thing that comes into my head when I hear Miami football, honestly.
Gotta love it, man. Landon, when do you plan on being back on campus again?
I think I'm gonna try to come up because it's dead period right now. I think it ends end of July, so I'm gonna try to come up. But I'm also, like, me and my family might go to Miami just for like a vacation, and I'm gonna try to, because I like my player host was Restrepo.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if like they want to get some work in or something. Just try to pick up a few things early before my senior year, just to work on before I get to Miami.
Are there any other players you actively speak with?
Garcia a little bit, because one day I had Garcia, one day I had Restrepo.
Okay, very cool, man. Very cool. That's pretty cool. You get to interact with players on the team right now at an early age instead of just going in kind of new, not being familiar with the current roster. Landon, it was a pleasure to have you on the scoop, man. We look forward to speaking with you in the near future. And Ross, anything else you wanted to add?
I just had one more question for you, Landon. Your high school team, what are the priorities your coaching staffs ask you to do at wide receiver? Do you play inside and outside, or what do you do for that offense?
So my sophomore year, I played outside, but they kind of used me more as a slot, like quick game, which I feel I'm a lot better at. And like my film sophomore year, you can just see the kind of player I am. But this past year, they used me at outside, and I was just a deep threat every play, which I can do that too. But I feel like that's not my game really. But this year, I'm doing both, so it should be fun this year.
Gotta love it, man. Well, Landon, we're rooting for you, man. We can't wait to see you down in Coral Gables. Put on the orange and green, and man, you're gonna do great things at the next level. So excited to see you play.
Sure, thank you.
Appreciate for your time, Landon. Have a great rest of your night.
Thank y'all.
Take care. Landon Ibieta, class of 2022, current commit to the University of Miami. What a show, man. Thank you so much, Ross, for putting this together, man. Greatly appreciate it. He's doing a tremendous job. I hope we had everyone tuning in tonight. They appreciate Ross's hard work. We just had 4 solid A1 recruits join the scoop. Thanks to my main man, Ross.
No problem, Paul, man. It's you know how tricky it can be to organize this sometimes, especially when we're talking about recruits in different area codes. And we had a Texas recruit, a Utah recruit. I'm in Alaska. You're in Florida. But, bro, we made it work, man. We made it work.
Hey, I gotta love it, man. It's hard work, and we can't do it without everyone that tuned in tonight. So thank you again, everyone. And always, all about you guys. Go Canes.
Go Canes.